You tell yourself you want deeper friendships, but when someone actually starts getting close, something inside you pulls back. You reply a little later. You share a little less. You suddenly feel tired after spending time together. It's confusing because you don't dislike people. You're not cold. And yet, real closeness feels heavier than it should. At first, you explain it logically. You're busy. You value independence. You don't like drama. But when the same pattern repeats, enjoying people at a distance, then slowly withdrawing. When things become emotionally real, it's no longer random. It's psychological. When someone asks, "How are you really?" your body reacts before your mind does. There's a slight tension. A quiet urge to change the subject. You say, "I'm fine," even when you're not. Later, alone, you feel a kind of loneliness that doesn't make sense. You want connection. But you also feel safer without it. This isn't a personality flaw. It's a nervous system strategy. Psychology calls this avoidant attachment tendencies. It develops when closeness once felt unpredictable, overwhelming, or emotionally unsafe. Your brain adapted. Instead of associating connection with comfort, it linked it with risk. So now, when intimacy increases, your system subtly activates protection mode. From a behavioral psychology perspective, this pattern is reinforced through relief. When you pull away from someone who's getting too close, your anxiety drops. That drop in discomfort teaches your brain something powerful. Distance works. This is negative reinforcement. The behavior of withdrawing gets strengthened because it reduces internal stress. Over time, the brain prefers the short-term calm of distance over the long-term reward of connection. Neuroscience adds another layer. The amygdala, the brain's threat detection system, does not clearly distinguish between physical danger and social threat. Research shows that social rejection activates neural circuits similar to physical pain. So when you begin to feel emotionally exposed, your brain reacts as if something could hurt you. Even if the person in front of you is kind and safe, think of it like a smoke alarm that's overly sensitive. It goes off not only during a real fire, but also when there's harmless smoke. Emotional closeness becomes that harmless smoke. System sounds the alarm, not because you're in danger, but because your brain once learned that vulnerability can lead to pain. There's also identity involved. If you see yourself as independent, low maintenance, or emotionally self-sufficient, deep friendship challenges that self-image. Cognitive dissonance occurs when reality clashes with identity. That discomfort pushes you to restore consistency. And one easy way to restore it is to create distance. You maintain the story of being self-contained, even if it quietly costs you intimacy. So what can you do without forcing yourself to suddenly change your personality? First, notice the exact moment you feel the urge to withdraw, not later. In the moment itself, if someone compliments you and you deflect. Maybe they ask about your feelings and you shut down. Pause and label the sensation. This is discomfort, not danger. Studies in affect labeling show that naming emotions reduces activity in the amygdala. When you put words to what you feel, the brain's threat response softens slightly. Second, practice controlled vulnerability. Not dramatic emotional exposure. Just small honesty. Instead of saying, "I'm fine," you might say, "It's been a stressful week." Gradual exposure is a well-studied psychological principle. When you face something in small doses, your nervous system recalibrates. Just like adjusting to cold water slowly, your emotional system learns that sharing does not automatically lead to rejection. Third, separate anxiety from incompatibility. Anxiety feels like a warning, but it is not always a verdict. Before pulling away, ask yourself, is this person actually unsafe, or is my system reacting to closeness itself? This question activates the prefrontal cortex, the rational decision-making. Part of your brain, when that area engages, it can regulate the amygdala's alarm response. You move from reflex to reflection. Finally, allow the after effect. When you share something real, you may replay it in your mind later. You might feel exposed. Instead of interpreting that feeling as proof you made a mistake, sit with it briefly. In neuroscience, this process relates to extinction learning. When the feared outcome doesn't occur, when the person doesn't reject or shame you, the brain updates its prediction. Over time, the alarm becomes less intense because it learns a new association. Vulnerability can be safe. All of this connects to one simple mental model. Your brain prioritizes safety over connection. If it has to choose between emotional risk and emotional distance, it will choose distance. Not because you don't care, but because protection once mattered more than closeness. You don't avoid deep friendships because you're incapable of intimacy. You avoid them because, at some point, distance protected you from something painful. Your nervous system learned that lesson carefully, but the same brain that learned protection can learn safety through small, repeated, manageable experiences of staying instead of withdrawing. Through noticing the alarm without obeying it immediately. The next time you feel the urge to pull away, don't force yourself to dive deeper. Just pause a second longer than usual. Notice the discomfort. Notice that nothing catastrophic is happening, because sometimes the real shift isn't about finding different people. It's about teaching your nervous system that closeness doesn't have to mean danger.